The buzz surrounding Bristol Motor Speedway this past weekend was never meant to revolve around drama or heated debates. It was supposed to center on a long-awaited breakthrough and a feel-good story in the NASCAR Cup Series. Yet almost overnight, the narrative took a sharp turn. While one young driver soaked in the glory of his first career victory, a seasoned veteran suddenly found himself facing intense questions about his future. And once the engines cooled and the spotlights dimmed, one of NASCAR's most trusted and respected analysts refused to hold back his honest take. Now, fans across the community are left wondering the same thing. Did Dale Earnhardt Jr. just openly call out Kyle Busch in the wake of everything that unfolded at Bristol? To truly grasp why this storyline exploded the way it did, we need to rewind and look closely at what actually played out on the track. The weekend at the short, high-bank concrete bullring delivered one of the most emotional and satisfying moments of the entire season so far. After enduring years of doubt, relentless scrutiny, and constant questions about his place in the sport, 23-year-old Ty Gibbs finally shattered through the barrier that had been holding him back. In his 131st Cup Series start, the young driver expertly held off a pack of experienced champions in the final laps and drove his way into victory lane for the very first time. That single checkered flag instantly changed the trajectory of Ty Gibbs' young career. For far too long, critics had hammered him, suggesting that his last name and powerful family connections had paved an easier road than most drivers ever get. They questioned whether he truly earned his seat in one of the top-tier rides. But at Bristol, Gibbs delivered the only response that truly matters in this unforgiving sport: a hard-fought, well-deserved win on one of the roughest and most respected tracks in NASCAR. The victory carried real weight because Bristol has always been a proving ground where only the toughest and most skilled drivers can shine. Yet even as Ty Gibbs celebrated wildly in victory lane, another much darker storyline was quietly building steam throughout the garage and among fans tuning in from home. When the final results were examined more carefully, one name kept standing out for all the wrong reasons: Kyle Busch. Once considered one of the most ferocious and dominant forces in NASCAR history, Kyle Busch has built a legendary resume. A two-time Cup Series champion with well over 60 career victories, he used to strike fear into opponents every time he rolled onto the grid. There was a time when it felt like Rowdy could win from almost any position on any given Sunday, but recent seasons have painted a dramatically different picture. The wins have dried up completely, and the most jaw-dropping statistic making the rounds right now is this: Kyle Busch has now gone more than 100 NASCAR Cup Series races without tasting victory. For a driver of his caliber and pedigree, that kind of prolonged drought feels almost impossible to comprehend. And that painful reality is precisely why the post-race conversation at Bristol quickly shifted focus. As people began breaking down the stark contrast in performances, Dale Earnhardt Jr., never one to shy away from straight talk, offered his unfiltered thoughts on the situation. Even years after stepping away from full-time competition, Dale Earnhardt Jr. remains one of the most influential and credible voices in the entire NASCAR ecosystem. Drivers, crew members, team owners, and millions of fans still hang on his opinions. According to the strong reactions coming out of Bristol, Earnhardt Jr. made it crystal clear that Kyle Busch's current struggles can no longer be brushed aside or explained away with simple excuses. In his view, the cold, hard numbers tell the real story. When a driver who has achieved so much at the highest level suddenly finds himself locked out of victory lane for such an extended stretch, serious questions become unavoidable. The side-by-side comparison with Ty Gibbs only made the situation more glaring. On one hand, a rising star finally breaking through under heavy pressure. On the other, a battle-tested champion stuck in a deep slump that shows no immediate signs of ending. That kind of contrast naturally stirs up tension and debate inside a sport that lives and dies by results. NASCAR has always been brutally honest. Yesterday's hero can quickly become today's question mark if the performance slips. The emergence of fresh, hungry talent like Ty Gibbs only raises the stakes even higher for veterans trying to hang on. What adds even more layers to this story is Kyle Busch's long and storied journey through the sport. For more than 2 decades, he looked nearly unbeatable across all 3 national series. His fearless, aggressive style made him a constant threat, and he racked up wins in the Cup, Xfinity, and Truck divisions with remarkable consistency. When he joined Richard Childress Racing, many hoped it would spark a new chapter filled with success. There were indeed some bright early moments and a handful of victories, but over time the results became far more inconsistent. Some weekends showed flashes of the old magic and raw speed, while others ended in disappointment and missed opportunities. Slowly but surely, those inconsistencies snowballed into the longest winless streak of his entire career. Bristol's outcome hit especially hard because it served as a powerful reminder of how unforgiving and competitive modern NASCAR has become. New drivers keep arriving with speed, skill, and determination. The field is deeper and more talented than ever before. When a veteran like Kyle Busch loses his momentum, the entire pack senses an opening and starts closing the gap rapidly. That's why Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s comments resonated so strongly with fans and insiders alike. He wasn't throwing unnecessary shade at Kyle Busch. Instead, he was simply shining a light on a difficult truth that many had already begun to notice on their own. The sport continues to evolve at a rapid pace, and even the greatest drivers of their generation must now work harder than ever to remain at the front. Meanwhile, Gibbs' breakthrough victory at such a demanding venue as Bristol carries deeper meaning. It symbolizes the next wave of talent stepping confidently into the spotlight. Winning at the world's fastest half-mile isn't just another checkered flag, it's a statement. It proves a driver has the patience, aggression, and mental toughness required to succeed at the highest level. With that win now in his column, the conversation around Gibbs has already begun to shift in a much more positive direction. Doubts about whether he belongs are fading fast, replaced by excitement about how many more wins might be on the horizon for the young talent. At the same time, the questions hanging over Kyle Busch continue to grow louder with every passing race. Can he finally snap this painful drought and return to victory lane? Is this just a temporary rough patch, or does it signal something more permanent? And if the winless streak keeps stretching, what does the future hold for one of NASCAR's most accomplished and polarizing figures? In a sport where momentum can vanish in the blink of an eye, Bristol Motor Speedway may have quietly marked a significant turning point in two very different careers. One driver, Gibbs, finally stepping into the light after years of pressure. Another, Kyle Busch, still searching desperately for answers in the shadows of his own past greatness. And standing in the middle of it all, Dale Earnhardt Jr., delivering a sober reminder that in NASCAR the scoreboard and the statistics never lie, no matter how much respect a driver has earned over the years when one's fast.